Fernando Montiel puts his two bantamweight belts on the line against 28-year-old Nonito Donaire in what should be an all-action bout, and two guys at 118 pounds that pack a mean punch. Well, before we get to our main event coming up here tonight, let's take a look at some other boxing events coming up on the HBO boxing calendar.
Boxing After Dark returns on March 5th, showcasing one of 2010's hottest prospects, Mexican sensation Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Down goes Donaire on a rocket left hook, and he knocked Donaire out.
The 20-year-old Alvarez tries to maintain his undefeated record against Matthew Hatton, Ricky Hatton's younger brother. On March 12th, World Championship Boxing. It's the return of middleweight king Sergio Martinez.
Good left hand, and down goes Williams.
A sensational, shocking, one-punch knockout.
Off his resounding knockout win over Paul Williams, Martinez now takes on undefeated 154-pound titleist Sergey Zinzurek. On March 26th, arguably the fastest hands in boxing are back. Cuban amateur standout Yuriorkis Gamboa continues his rise in the professional ranks, defending his featherweight titles against Jorge Solis. On April 9th, HBO pay-per-view presents the return of a Mexican icon. Eric Morales, one of this generation's most exciting fighters, takes on the power-punching Argentinian Marcos Maidana. Also on the card is an exciting matchup in the lightweight division between Robert Guerrero and Michael Katsidis. April 16th, it's a World Championship Boxing doubleheader from both sides of the Atlantic. First, from Manchester, England, is the homecoming of Amir Khan.
And down goes Maidana on a tremendous body shot.
After a thrilling victory over Marcos Maidana, Khan will head back to his home turf to take on Paul McCloskey. Then stateside, it's a clash between two of boxing's bright young stars, as Andre Berto returns to take on Victor Ortiz. An exciting few months in the ring on HBO's World Championship Boxing, Boxing After Dark and pay-per-view.
Some of the bright young stars in boxing coming up on HBO over the next couple of months. Not only are they trying to make their mark now, but some could be destined to legendary careers. And with that, we change our focus right now to look back at some of the great names, some of the great athletes that have ever set foot in the ring. Men who stood the test of time, some of the great in the legacy of this sport.
From nowhere. It's over. Ali is the knockout winner.
Legendary performances in our lifetime. Who will be the next to take center stage? We'll find out as boxing has a bright future. And we're going to take a look at two men in our main event tonight that will fight in the bantamweight division. Fernando Montiel puts two of his belts on the line against Nonito Donaire. We're joined again at ringside by HBO boxing analyst Max Kellerman. And Max, you know, you take a look at these two young men and you look at the 118-pound division, and it is just loaded with possibilities and talent.
It may be the best division in boxing. It's on a short list. And Donaire's maybe one of the most talented, 3 or 4 most talented pound-for-pound fighters in boxing. Here are the belt holders. In this division, there's actually a positive correlation between the belt holders and the best fighters. Montiel is one of the best. Agbeko has a fight coming up with Morris. You'll see on the next page. The winner of that becomes sort of the #1 contender for the winner of this fight. Moreno's an excellent fighter, wins all over the world against top opposition. And here you see the other notable bantamweights. There's Donaire. I have him 4th pound for pound. There's Morris, I mentioned him. Perez is very good. Darchinian was a pound-for-pound guy in a slightly lower weight class. Donaire's already knocked him out. And Kameda, he's such a polarizing figure in Japan and a good fighter that he does monster TV numbers, like Super Bowl TV numbers in Japan.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what these two men do tonight in the ring at 118 pounds, because Nonito Donaire is actually, according to the odds makers, a favorite in this fight. Roy Jones, obviously Nonito Donaire has been involved in the news because he had a falling out with his father a couple of fights ago. They're estranged. The family's been taking shots at him through the media. Talk about his focus in this fight against the champion Montiel.
Well, the good thing for Nonito Donaire is in this fight, he doesn't have to really focus on his opponent. He has to focus more on the overall picture. The overall picture meaning that he wants to succeed to prove to his father that I was ready to step out on my own and become my own man.
Something that you can relate to, right?
Something that I definitely can relate to.
Well, these two young men are very talented. They're one of the best in the world at 118 pounds. Both of them come from strong family backgrounds. That's how they've arrived to this point, although with different roots.
A fight between unified 118-pound champion Fernando Montiel and challenger Nonito Donaire is simply one of the sport's most anticipated contests.
Tanto él como yo pegamos y nos caemos, pero nos levantamos.
Two of boxing's best pound for pound in a seemingly even matchup.
It's going to be power per power, speed per speed. You just see guys with the desire to just kill each other in there.
But for the two fighters, the build-up to tonight has been a family affair in dramatically different ways. Los Mochis, Mexico. Founded for the cultivation of sugarcane, it's grown to a population of over 200,000, and it's been home to Fernando Montiel his entire life.
A mí me gusta mucho aquí, bueno, entrenar aquí en mi ciudad porque pues aquí tengo todo lo que necesito, que aquí tengo mi motivación, tengo mi familia, tengo mis hijos.
During training, he spends nights away from his wife and 2 young sons, sleeping at his parents' house instead. As a boy, his father boxed and operated a gym from their home, and Fernando had a natural connection to the sport.
Pues porque siempre estuve con mi papá, siempre estuve en el gimnasio, iba a las funciones de box, estaba en esta esquina, e incluso le ayudaba a mi papá a vendar a los muchachos. Y me estaba fijando en los camerinos, a todos los camerinos de los boxeadores iba. Y bueno, crecí en el ambiente boxístico.
Sí, él nació boxeador, créame, sinceramente, él nació boxeador, ¿no? Nunca hubo, ni siquiera me pidió permiso para boxear, ¿no? Él estuvo él sabía que iba a ser boxeador y yo también sabía que iba a ser boxeador y no hubo ninguna duda.
Today, Fernando's father and 3 brothers work as a team in his corner. And most of the family, it seems, has boxing in their blood.
Ella no supe cuándo la cuenta, pero sí entre tíos, padres, hermanos, primos y hasta sobrinos, creo que son como 12 o 13. Todos nacieron con ese gusto por el boxeo.
Siempre tengo la confianza cuando está peleando porque sé que él entrenó como debe entrenar todo un profesional.
Perfecto. Somos una familia pues muy unida y más que nada el respeto hacia él es lo que nos ha mantenido unidos y bueno, que nos está saliendo bien las cosas también.
Nonito Donaire's camp is located in California's Bay Area, far away from his childhood home of General Santos City, Philippines. At age 10, however, his family relocated to the San Francisco suburbs, where he was first introduced to boxing.
My brother started boxing before I did. In my parents' eyes, they were really proud of my brother, my older brother, Glenn. So kind of said, you know what, I'll try it.
His father, Nonito Sr., a former Filipino military man, raised and coached the boys the best way he knew how, with strict structure and discipline.
He got that mentality of, I'm your superior, therefore you must obey me. It was a life where a kid never really got to be a kid. As much as boxing put my family together, it somehow separated as well.
As Nonito's professional boxing career progressed, culminating in a world title in 2007, his father's methods were grinding away his love of the sport.
To be honest, boxing was hard. Everything that I did, from waking up in the morning, was a chore. Everything that I did, I hated boxing because of that.
He wanted to take control of his own camp. And within the Filipino culture, it's very hard to try to overrule your parents. And that's where they started butting heads.
I was never good enough. You know, that's why I cherish the team that I have now, is because they believe in me. They truly believe in me and in my ability, in who I am.
After severing ties with his father in 2008, Nonito's new inner circle includes his wife, Rachel, head trainer Robert Garcia.
If you want to exchange punches and make it a war and please the crowd, then it's going to be a war.
And nutritionist Victor Conti, the man at the center of the Balco steroid scandal. Conti has Donaire utilizing technology and training, such as a high-elevation mask.
16,490 feet above sea level. It increases the amount of red blood cells in your body and the size of your red blood cells to take in all this oxygen.
Despite the stigma that may come from working with Conti, Donaire is adamant that everything is on the up and up.
If you doubt who I am because I'm working with this man, 24/7, I got a vein, you got a needle, let's go for it.
So I'm very grateful to Nonito that he has been willing to forgive me and give me an opportunity to work with a world-class athlete like him.
Mentally, I'm fresh 100%. Physically, I'm fresh 100%. You know, I'm ready.
They've gotten here in different ways, yet each is in the fight of his career. Two of the sports elite on a collision course for division supremacy.
Es una pelea muy espectacular y van a salir chispas, estoy seguro de eso.
I have a statement to make. Montiel has a statement to make. I believe that it's time to take the throne from Montiel.
They'll settle it in the ring tonight as we take a look at the tail of the tape. Donaire, 28 years of age, has a 2-inch height advantage. Both men weighed in at 118 pounds on our unofficial scales. Montiel weighed in at 134 pounds. Donaire rehydrated 8 pounds to 126. That's a look at the tail of the tape for our main event tonight on HBO's Boxing After Dark. 28-year-old Nonito Donaire.
The traditional proud Filipino fighters, flash and loaded, Pancho Villa, introducing
Former flyweight champion, made 3 successful defenses of that title. Effervescent personality, says his opponent reminds me of me. Speaking of Montiel. Roy, let's take a look on some of the things that you expect to see in this fight tonight.
Well, first of all, I expect Montiel to come out and try to gain respect, to show him that He's in here against the best champion around right now. He has a big left hook, and he must use that to get some respect.
And what about for Donaire?
Donaire needs to use feints and prove his presence too. But by doing that, he needs to stay outside, using straight punches to try to be quicker than Montiel.
Let's go to the middle part of the fight. Now you see it unfolding first for the champion, Montiel.
For Montiel to be in there, he has to get close, land good body shots with that strong left hook, actually body and head shots, but in the middle of the fight, you got to go to the body some.
And what about for Donaire?
For Donaire, I expect more feints, more lateral movement, and more hand speed. He has good hand speed, and he has to use that tonight.
All right, let's move to the late stages now of the fight, starting with Montiel.
Montiel has to continue to keep the pressure on the younger fighter, try to land that big left hook, make it a problem, and make it become a problem for the younger fighter.
And what about for Donaire?
For Donaire, he has to use his footwork, stay left and right on the lateral axis, on the lateral axle, and stay in control of the later rounds to win the fight.
Whichever guy can keep their plan over 12 rounds will be victorious. And here comes Fernando Montiel.
Fernando Montiel has been for years a world-class fighter. But when he made the decision to stop being a safety-first fighter, he not only became more exciting, he became more effective. I don't think he was ever regarded quite at the level he is now regarded within boxing circles, and that's nipping at the heels of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Donaire firmly ensconced in that top 10.
Let's send it to the ring and Lupe Contreras.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, this is the main event of the evening, being brought to you by Bob Arum's Top Rank Incorporated, in association with Promociones Sanfe, en la cerveza Tecate, patrocinador oficial. This bout, 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC and WBO Bantamweight Championships of the world. The judges for this bout are Ed Kugler, Patricia Morse-Jarman, and Dave Moretti. The referee, Russell Mora. And now, ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, from Las Vegas, Nevada, the Philippines, and Mexico, ¿quién es el más macho? Introducing first, the challenger, fighting out of the blue corner. He steps into the ring wearing Pinoy red, white, blue, and gold. He weighed in officially at 118 pounds. As a professional, he maintains a record consisting of 25 victories against 1 lone defeat, and 17 of his victories coming by way of knockout. The former WBA interim super flyweight and former IBF flyweight champion of the world. From General Santos City, the Philippines, the Filipino Flash, Nonito, Donaire. His opponent across the ring in the red corner. He steps in wearing white trimmed in black and gold. He registered an identical weight of 118 pounds. As a professional, he steps in with 44 victories against only 2 losses, 2 draws, and 34 of those victories coming by way of knockout. The former 2-time WBO Junior Bantamweight, former WBO Flyweight, and the reigning WBC and WBO Bantamweight Champion of the world. Fighting out of Gimnasio Cochul Montiel, y Puro Mochi, Sinaloa, México, Fernando Cochulito Montiel.
All right, let's go. Hey, Francisco, they gotta go.
Okay, trunks here are good. Trunks here are good. Anything below that line is a foul. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room, so you know that I expect a clean fight. I want to remind you to protect yourself at all times, obey my commands at all times. Acuérdese, quiero una pelea limpia. Dios los bendiga, toquen guantes. God bless, touch up.
Sometimes the elite of a division meet, and we wind up with a dud. Such was the case with Tim Bradley and Devin Alexander a couple weeks ago. Sometimes we get a classic, like 11 years ago in this building on this day with Marco Barrera and Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. Which one will this be?
12 rounds to settle that score between Montiel and Donaire. Donaire with the 2-inch height advantage.
Don't push it.
Boy, is that a big factor here?
Oh, it's not a big factor in the beginning, but late in the fight, it can become a big factor. All that depends on how well he uses his jab. Great thing about these two guys that they both come from great boxing backgrounds. They've been in it since they were little kids, and this is sometimes what separates boxing from other combat sports.
And Montiel took a shot from Donaire. Good left hand by Donaire. Wings a right hand, does Donaire.
You have to remember that Montiel sometimes has problems with speed. That's what Mark Too Sharp Johnson gave him such a problem with.
Donaire, you can see, is the better athlete, taller, quicker, more explosive. Montiel in recent years has developed a devastating one-punch type left hook.
And Donaire will have to be very careful of that one-punch left hook because, like you said, it can be devastating.
That's what Montiel used to take Hasegawa's belt in Japan last year. Montiel has seen the canvas 6 times in his career. Donaire's never been down. 2 minutes in, the most telling blows landed by Donaire.
Donaire was a substantial favorite coming in. So far, you can see why. He's got special athletic talent.
Keeps that right hand up, knowing Montiel has that good sweeping left.
Montiel showing very good head movement early in the fight.
Let him go.
In a lot of ways, they almost fight like they're bigger guys.
Well, they punch definitely like they're big guys.
Montiel a little off balance as Donaire landed his shot at the end of round 1.
How are you feeling? Good? Quiero get a little closer then.
Vaselina.
The Vaseline.
Hay sangre.
There's a little blood here.
De la otra.
The other one.
Está bien, todo está bien. Dame lule, Pedro. Hay que empezar ya,
It's okay.
Don't get excited about the crowd, okay? Do your game plan. In and out. He throws punches back up and counter, okay? Okay? Okay, he's waiting for you to throw that right hand to counter that hook. So don't throw from far away. Don't throw from far away, okay? Listen to me.
He see Donaire come, he slips the right hand and rolls under and comes up with a left hook, a beautiful left hook to the chin early in the fight.
Blows landed by Donaire in round number 1.
So far we have excellent high-level, high-speed chess.
Left-right combination from Donaire. Left hand from Donaire.
Montiel showing a strong chin here, but that was a beautiful right hand he just took from Donaire. And his knees didn't even buckle.
And Donaire is a puncher. When Victor Chinian was rampaging and beating everything, just destroying guys, everyone in his path, Donaire destroyed Darchinian and has rarely lost a round since then.
Now you see Montiel starting to put the pressure on because he realizes he's not going to win an outside boxing match. So now he's starting to apply the pressure a little bit more.
Lloyd, how should he go about doing that?
Well, he's doing it with feints right now. He got his hands up high and he's faking at the guy to try to make him do something or hold him for a jab like he just did. But Donaire is a slick character, so he has to be really careful here.
Montiel getting a little rhythm here in round number 2. Countered after Donaire missed with a wild right. Good right hand.
There you go. Out of there. It's over with. It's over with. That is done. That is done.
7. Counter rotate. Finishes it here in round 2.
Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, Sergio Martinez.
And Russell Moore is going to let it continue. Now he stops it.
You have company.
Nonito Donaire with a counter left after absorbing a right, exalting the Filipino fans here in Las Vegas.
Nothing more determined than a fighter out to prove something to not only himself, but to his family.
Kiss to his wife, Rachel. He's on top of the world tonight. Roy, let's take a look at the knockdown. The first one, it's a counter shot after Montiel scored with a right hand.
Yeah, Montiel was putting the pressure on, but I said he had to be careful because this kid is dangerous. So he follows with a right hand, he check hooks him off of the right hand with a beautiful left hook, something that Montiel never saw coming.
And I was surprised that Russell Mora let it continue. Because Montiel was rolling around on the ground.
Yeah, but you got to give the champ that type of respect. You know, you got to give him that much respect.
Perfect counter shot by Nonito Donaire.
The first time I seen this kid box, I told him he was something special. He was my new top pound-for-pound fighter, and he proved tonight why I thought that.
Yeah, Roy, you were talking him up all week, and you see it again. There's the right from Montiel on the counter left hand. Now, you saw Montiel rolling around on the canvas. His legs were kicking, but he did get up, and Russell Mora let it continue.
And that says a lot about Montiel to show you how game he is, because most fighters never would have got back to their feet after going down like that and performing on the floor the way he did. So you have to take your hat off and say a lot about Montiel. He's a great fighter, a great champion.
And Russell Mora watched 2 punches land. You see Montiel still looks out of it. A left and a right, and Russell Mora then steps in and allows no further damage.
And really, he took those 2 punches pretty good to be as hurt as he was.
Official time of the stoppage. Here's Lupe Contreras.
Ladies and gentlemen, a series of uncontested blows obligates referee Russell Mora to step in and stop this bout with an official time of 2 minutes, 25 seconds of round number 2. The winner, by way of technical knockout, and now the new WBC and WBO bantamweight champion of the world, the Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire.
Impressive performance by the Filipino Flash, Nonito Donaire. Let's take a look at the total punch numbers as compiled by CompuBox. Total punches first. Donaire landed 17 of 61, 28%. Montiel actually landed at a higher percentage, but the power shots. Donaire landed some big shots, including obviously that counter left hand that knocked down Montiel in round number 2. 15 of 30, 50%. He was quicker, faster, and stronger. Max is in the ring with Nonito Donaire.
Nonito Donaire. Oh my God. What just happened?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone out here for supporting this fight. Sa lahat ng mga Pilipino dito, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. And to all the Mexicans who showed up as well, thank you guys for supporting this fight. You know, I just came out there believing what I had, this talent that God has given me. You know, actually, I predicted this second round knockout. I think it was second round, like 3 months ago.
He seemed to be finding his rhythm a little bit in the second round, right before you knocked him out. Can you talk about that?
That rhythm was given because I wanted to see that exactly what I did. I just wanted to see how his body was, how where his head was going to be, and that's when I timed it. I mean, you know, you have to take some in order for you to gain some knowledge.
So you're operating in the matrix, everything is slowed down for you?
Pretty much, that's what I keep telling everybody, but people think I'm crazy because I can see it that way in that ring. And that's why I knew exactly what was gonna happen, where he was gonna be at, and definitely I did it.
Nonito, we did a feature on you and your father before the show. A lot has been made about the fact that you had to strike out on your own and become your own man. How do you feel about that now?
I mean, I think God has his plan, and I will just have faith in God's plan. But, you know, I am thankful that I have everybody in my corner. You know, I got Robert Garcia, Jonathan Peñalosa, Michael Basil, Cameron Duncan, and most of all, Victor and Remy Kurchemny. They're just fabulous, and I love them to death. And most of all, my wife. Thank you so much. I love you, baby.
Now, you can stick around and beat up the bantamweights and the junior bantamweights as you've been doing your whole career. You're only lost. You're in your second pro fight, essentially undefeated. Or you could move up and target some bigger and better game. Juan Manuel Lopez and Gamboa come to mind. They've been talked about for each other, but what about for you?
I think that I want to be undisputed in this weight class, and if that doesn't happen, I got my trust and faith in Cameron Duncan. And if that's 122, let's go. If that's 126, let's go. I think that it keeps me moving. It keeps me be the best of who I am, and most of all, the people that supported me. I thank them so much.
Pound for pound is made a lot of in boxing. Floyd Mayweather is inactive. Sergio Martinez has a tough assignment ahead. If he doesn't win it, it's you and Manny Pacquiao and you, on the top of the list. Can you talk about how you feel about the fact that he is Filipino and you are Filipino-American?
I believe that Pacquiao has given me this opportunity, and I always will thank him for that. You know, I don't mind being number 2, and definitely, you know, that's a fantasy. But if it goes to that, it's the best against the best, and you know what? It's good for boxing. Why not? But you know,
are you saying that you would one day want to fight Manny Pacquiao?
No, no way, no way. Like I said, I have the utmost respect for Manny. You know, like I said, I don't mind being number 2. I'm happy being number 2 if that's what people call me. I am here, I'm blessed, and I just have the best people around me, and I'm happy, and that makes me number 1 in them.
Well, you're certainly number 1 so far in everyone you fought, and we look forward very much to seeing you again in the near future.
I hope so, and thank you guys so much for giving me this opportunity, Bob, Top Rank, and everyone, WBO and WBC, thank you guys. I got you guys' stuff now, and it's going to be hanged with utmost respect.
The electrifying Nonito Donaire. Bob?
All right, thank you very much, Max. Now, we wanted to talk to Fernando Montiel as he lost his 2 belts, but he was taken to the back area. The doctors want to check him out just to make sure that his health is okay, so we were not able to get a word in with Fernando Montiel, who was stopped in round number 2 by Nonito Donaire's counter left hand. He was whisked to the back area. He'll be checked out by the doctors, ringside physicians, just to make sure that he's okay, because it was a devastating punch that knocked him down. And Roy, first of all, talk a little bit about what you saw out of Donaire and where you see him heading.
Well, what you see out of Donaire is a guy who's really studied the sport. His father did a great job giving him a great foundation. Now he's moved on and stepped into his own world, which he knew he would have to do one day in order to achieve what God has given him. God has blessed this kid with wonderful talent, and his talent that's beyond what his family can understand right now. So I'm glad to see him take advantage of that talent that God gave him and move on and make big steps, which means he had to step away, step out on faith, depend on God, and move forward and become who God meant for him to be. So I think he's, in my book, pound for pound, the second guy on the list, right under Manny Pacquiao.
And for the first time in almost 5 years, Fernando Montiel loses a fight. He hadn't lost since May of 2006. He showed you a lot the way he got up, didn't he?
He showed me a whole lot. And with that pound for pound, that's because Floyd is not active right now. So since he's not active, that's why this kid will be number 2. Yeah, Montiel showed a whole lot of guts by getting up from a shot like that and still coming back. And the 2 shots that Donaire hit him with didn't really bother him that bad, being as hurt as he was already. But the first shot caught him by surprise. He never saw it coming, and those are the ones that do the most damage.
Roy, great having you.